Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another interesting episode of Free Friday. So today's Free Friday is something that you guys have actually probably seen or you've not seen, but it's going to be different in the sense that the website that we're going to go through, or the resource page we're going to go through today, has a whole lot of things. It has things for every single person that is into 3D. So it doesn't matter if you're an architect, it doesn't matter if you're just this rendering guy that like product design, it doesn't also matter if you're just into making characters, animation, texturing, whatever you're doing, there is definitely something for you in or on this website. And a cool thing to note is this website doesn't require you to register, so it doesn't need any of your details for you to get this cool stuff and for you to start using them. So today we're going to look at this incredible website, and I'm going to show you guys around it and tell you what you can get from this website and how you can play around, get the most out of it and use it for anything that you want. So without further ado, let's jump right in and look at this incredible website known as all3dfree.net. So all3dfree.net is just this cool website that you would always like to come through, or go over to when you are in need of a 3D model, a 3D content, a 3D texture, a Vray material library, a HDRI library, an IAS library, just so many kinds of stuff. You can find them directly here. And I'm not even talking about the guys doing AutoCAD and all that stuff. Those guys, you guys are gonna be fine. But today we're looking at Free Friday stuff, free content that you can find here, and there is a whole lot of free content you can find here. It is not so dense when it comes to a particular area, so the website here is really cool. And the cool thing about this one that I like is the things that it has is properly categorized. So if you come over to this section, you'll be able to see all of them in the way that they are all put together. So if we go over to the place where we have, say, sofa, and we click on sofa, it's definitely going to load up, and you can see the couple of sofas that are existing here. And you can see if they're way more than one, you can see down here, you can go over next, and you can find a couple of them. And by the side here, you'll be able to also find related models that you can work with. All right, so let's say you're looking for sofa and you may want something like this to also attach into your architectural design. Of course, you can also check that out. If you go over to a section like, let's say, fashion, for example, and the fashion products gets to load, you'll be able to find, a couple of props that you can also go ahead and play or use within your project. And by the side as well, you can see a couple of things. So this is really interesting to find out that in as much as the website is not so dense when it comes to dealing with one particular aspect of 3D resources, it is actually vast and it has a whole lot of varieties when it comes to 3D resources that every individual or every 3D artist may likely use. So if you're into texturing, if you're into, let's say, architectural visualization, if you're into animation as well, there are also characters that you can find. If you're into prop designs, there are also things that can actually help make your life way more easier that you can find directly on the website. Another cool thing to note is when we come over to a section like this that has to do with the beds, and I click on one of the beds, all right, and it loads up, I can see what file format that this model is. So let's say you're working with Cinema 4D, 3D Studio Max, let's say you're working with various software as well, you'll be able to see what file format this comes in. Most of them would come in as OBJ and FBX, while some of the other ones will come in as Cinema 4D Max file. But either ways, they do come with either an OBJ or an FBX, which would make it really interesting for you to go ahead and load up the model and use them in whatever scene that you're working on. So I've gone ahead to download a couple of them and I've tested them, and one of the things I would say outrightly is you will be surprised at the quality of the things you're going to get, because they are well made, which makes it really interesting in case you want to actually just go ahead and pick one of them and attach them to your scene, or let's say you want to simply go ahead and just get them for, let's say, a background and all that stuff. This is going to be really interesting for you to work with. And to the architectural guys, you have a couple of things here that you can play with, just a very tiny selection of things that you can go ahead and work with. So let's say you want to do your architectural visualization visualization and you're looking for where you can get PNG characters that you can place around your scene just to add some extra life into your scene, of course there's something for you. To the guys doing a HDRI rendering, or let's say you're looking for free HDRI stuff that you can work with, yeah, we've covered a couple of them in the channel, but here you'll be able to find out that they have some cool outdoor collections that you can work with, and there are also some cool indoor collections that you can work with. So also, if you're into product design or product rendering, there is a whole lot of other things that you can find here that is actually more product based, things that you spend a hell of a time trying to make. You can come through, find these things, you know, cut down on the time which you use for modeling, and you can use this stuff for your project. This is really interesting, and I hope a whole lot other, you know, free websites get to adopt the idea of putting way multiple stuff and in a much more organized fashion. To me, this is really cool, and it's going to save a whole lot of artists stress and time trying to actually find exactly what they want. And if you want to search for something, you can simply come through here and just type the name of what you want and go ahead and hit on search. Other things you need to know is they also have 3D textures which you can work with. So you get to see all these little buttons here. They are all hyperlinks, which simply means that once you click on them, they're going to take you over to the category that they exist. The ones that do not have hyperlinks, you just get to see them as very plain textures. So if I click on 3D wood textures, you can see a whole variety of 3D wood textures that you can use, and you can also come through and, you know, check out different kinds of wallpapers and ties that you can work with. So in case you're working with Lumion Twinmotion and you're looking for textures that you can work with, of course you can come through and find these textures from here, and you can also use them in Twinmotion. Now, speaking about Twinmotion, we have an entire dedicated playlist that has to do with Twinmotion, and I would suggest you go through and check that out in case you're into architectural visualization. Let's take a cool look at the interior spaces and see what we can do. So the interior spaces are also incredible as well. So you may want to simulate an office setting, you may want to simulate other stuff. Of course, you can also come through and check this page out and see cool stuff that would save you interesting time that you can go ahead and work with. And for models like this, you can see how honest the website is. If they do not have settings that is included in the file, you get to see it here. Unlike other websites that get to tell you that there is textures, the characters are rigged, this is quite a very honest website. If there is no texture, they get to tell you from the beginning that there is no texture, and if there's no file support that exists, yeah, they get to also tell you. So I would like to see what you guys get to do by using this website. The Vray section and the IES section is also cool. So in case you're working with IES lights, and let's say you're working in Maya, 3D Studio Max, or even Cinema 4D or Blender, you may want to use IES lights, maybe IES light profile once in a while. And yes, you can see some IES lights that are really interesting that you can play with. So you can definitely come through and check out the IES profiles and, you know, download them and use them for whatever thing that you want. And this to me is really interesting, and it is by default a huge collection of 3D content that you would not actually find in so many websites. And still speaking about lights, you can see that they have different kinds of lights, from street lights to floodlights. You know, this is like the down light. You can also find lawn light, spotlight, and also the garden light. And these lights are totally different, and it's cool that they are all specifically categorized so that you don't make a mistake of choosing the wrong one. Same thing goes with other models and, you know, other textures and other scenes that you may likely want to play around with. So if you're using Vray as well, there is an entire Vray material library that you can use. So if you don't know how to make materials and you just want to simply, you know, just get materials done, slap them onto your models and get the render going, this is a great resource place for you to actually come through and get free content and free materials that you would like to work with. I would suggest that you guys go over to this website, try out what you can find, download these things, use them for your personal project, royalty free, which simply means that you don't have to pay to use them. And this is today's episode of Free Friday. You're there, the internet is here, jump onto your computers, download this stuff and use them for your project. And I would like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section. And just in case you don't know, we have an entire playlist that is dedicated to Free Friday. Link is going to be in the description, so you can go through and find out free textures, free materials, free models, and also places you can get extremely free resources. And if you like this video, simply give it a thumbs up and don't forget to turn on notification. And if you're new here, it's going to be amazing if you can hit the subscribe button and also turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. And until I see you guys again with a tutorial update, Free Friday, Tutorial Tuesday, tips and tricks, things like this. Peace.